Hello, my name is Jonathan Allen from the Scholars of Kala, and this is the first video in a series on the Bolognese sword and buckler assaults. The purpose of these videos is not to demonstrate perfect execution of the assaults, but rather focus more on why each action is being performed, so that we have a better understanding of what we're trying to accomplish when we practice these forms. Like most sword and buckler assaults, Manciolino's first assault begins with a salute. To perform the salute, you start with the sword by your side, strike the buckler with the false edge of your sword, and then step forward while raising the sword into alta. Now the text tells us to hold our buckler out as if it were a mirror. This tells us that he wants the buckler face like this, as opposed to edge forward, which is used in some of the other postures. You'll see this phrase, hold it as a mirror, several times in Manciolino's text. Having gone into alta, our next instruction is to go into Guardia di Tessa with a passing step. We're told to do this by striking the face of our buckler with our pommel. So that looks something like this. We think that the reason he mentions the pommel strike is to encourage us to be in this version of Guardia di Tessa as opposed to this one. This version offers more protection for your hand and keeps that sword online in a way that you wouldn't have access to using this version. Now, quick side note, this version is preferable if you have only a sword with no buckler or other secondary weapon, because by itself, this posture exposes the hand. It's only with the buckler protecting it where this becomes a good place to stay. From here, we're told to lower the buckler to the thigh. Now, if we lower just the buckler, again, it's probably not a good idea to leave the sword there by itself. So we think what he has us doing is this, a posture that you'll see in other fencing manuals from the German tradition. Now, we think the reason he says lower the buckler to the thigh, as opposed to saying lower the sword, is he doesn't want you to do this, which is a legitimate posture, but a different one. So, from the top, we have our salute alta. We drop into Guardia di Tessa, and from there, we lower the buckler to the thigh. Our third action is simply raising the sword back into alta. He doesn't say how to do this, but from that posture, a falso is the most obvious way. Looking at this posture again, you may wonder, why are you down here? One possible reason is as an invitation to someone striking you in the head. If they try, you have a very effective falso parry, which leaves them wide open for a secondary attack along any of the descending lines. This, of course, is just conjecture because the assaults don't actually tell us why we're performing the action. They just tell us what we're supposed to be doing. Back into alta, our next action we're told to perform is the Montante, followed by a cut that goes over the arm, and which we then mutate into Guardia di Tessa. This looks like such. The Montante is a rising cut where your hilt stays to the right of your center line, and the blade comes up in the manner of a falso. Then we turn around, drop it back down over our arm, and then wheel into our posture. Now he doesn't quite say when to take that step. So you may find it better to take it a little bit later. Start with the first cut, Montante, then step with the second cut, turning it over into Guardia di Tessa. Either way, you're told to then perform a second Montante. This one has you strike the false edge of your sword against your buckler, and then again cut up in that falso line. Hence we've learned both versions of the Montante. The one that comes from Alta, and the one that comes from Guardia di Tessa. You may be wondering why we're starting with a rising cut rather than the more obvious descending cut. The reason, I think, is simply that the descending cut is more obvious. Your opponent's expecting that when your hand's up this high, so by starting with the rising cut, it's a bit of a deception. Once you've cleared the line and opened them up, then you can do the more powerful descending cut. And again, dropping into that nice Guardia di Tessa posture before performing another rising cut back into Alta.